insightful discussion, gain valuable perspectives, and collectively contributes to the advancement of research practice in our academic landscape. Throughout the next 5 days, we will immerse in a series of discussion and presentations led by distinguished resource persons. It is our hope that this workshop will impart valuable insight and benefits to all the participants. Now, I request a respected Dr. N. Chandrasekhar, Assistant Professor, Department of Geography, Coordinator IQAC, to deliver a brief welcome address. Sir, please.
Good evening, everyone. Honorable organizing secretaries, coordinators, distinguished speakers, resource persons, and dear participants. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 5 Days International Research Methodology Workshop in Hybrid Mode 2024, organized by RC25, Indian Sociological Society, New Delhi, and the Department of History, Providence College, for Women, Coonoor, Tamilnadu, in collaboration with Stellar College, Manipur, St. Mary College, Department of Economics, Kamaraj College, and the Thiruvalluvar Government Arts College. This event is dedicated to exploring innovative research methods and methodology and advancing our educational practices to meet the demands for the future particularly research scholars. And we are delighted to have you all here today. Your presence shows your commitment to education and your dedication to making a difference in lives of research scholars and the young generations. I would like to extend a special welcome to our resource persons, Dr. Kamlesh Kumar Sahu, Associate Professor of Psychiatrics, Social Works, Government Medical College, and the Hospital Chandigarh. I would like also to extend my welcome to our resource person, Professor Tapan R. Mohante, Professor of Sociology of Law at National Law Institute, University of Bhopal. We are honored to have them share their insights with us today. Today we have an exciting line of activities, including inaugural address. Dr. Sanjoy Tiwari, convener, RC25, Sociology of Sports at Indian Sociological Society, New Delhi, and interactive sessions. Our esteemed resource person will cover a range of topics from research design to research methods and research methodology. And we hope you find this event both inspiring and informative. Also, we aim to provide you with valuable knowledge and practicable tools that you can apply in your education and research environment. Thank you for being here and contributing to the success of this workshop. Your participation is what makes this event truly special. Let's make the most of this opportunity to learn, share, and grow together. Enjoy the workshop. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your brief welcome address. Now, I would like to introduce respected Dr. Sanjoy Tiwari. It is a great privilege to have an opportunity to introduce her. Dr. Sanjoy Tiwari happens to be a managing committee member elect for 6-year terms, 2018 to 2023, of prestigious Indian Sociological Society. He is now a convener of the Research Committee 25 on Sociology of Sports of the Indian Sociological Society. He is an honorary professor with the Russian Academy of Social and Fundamental Science, Moscow, with a varied industry and academic exposure in the field of sociology, sports, and management of over 34 years. Dr. Sanjoy is credited with attending, presenting, chairing in more than 150 conferences, both nationally and in over more than 28 countries. He is credited with establishing sports sociology in India both within the ISS and the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, GOI. He has many good publications. He is the lifetime member of the International Sociology of Sports Association, ISSA, NASSS, and Society for the Study of Social Problems, USA. He is also an international reviewer of the prestigious uh, International Journal for Review of the Sociology of Sports. Dr. Sanjay has received many awards from the Indian Council of Social Science, the Japan Sociological Society, etc. He is also on the editorial board of Society for Study of Social Problems, USA, and Pankia Journals, etc. In connection with this international research methodology workshop, I request respected Sanjay Tiwari to deliver a brief inaugural address. Sir, please.
Good evening to one and all, and thank you very much. At the outset, let me express my heartfelt gratitude to the colleges which have contributed and which have, you can say, toiled in the hard sun, rather you can say, for the past more than a month or so, as far as this methodology on research, this workshop on research methodology is concerned. So when I was talking to one of the coordinators, Dr. Bennett, so a point came in that why not the Indian Sociological Society be a part of this event? And I focused on this thing, and the Indian Sociological Society was also eager because the ISS is a professional body, and we are always eager and anxious to go for such sort of segmentation workshops. And since the time schedule of this workshop was also very good, both in it was in hybrid mode, and the evening schedules were also good. We tried to chalk out as far as the faculties for this workshop are concerned. So it was indeed a good task by all the colleges and the Indian Sociological Society also. Now let me come to the basic structure of this workshop. You know, what is happening in the area of social sciences, that we are, you can say, we are a sort of a less concerned on the research methodology areas. And that is why the research scholars and students, they are always in search of very good workshop of such nature, so that they can just add something to their basket as far as their research is concerned. So naturally, with an exposure of so many years, I'm really very fortunate to be a part of this workshop, and I hope that the coming next, you can say, 4 more days, including the evening of today itself, will be very enriching academically. And you may please raise out your questions also, or queries also, perhaps at the end of the session, as decided by the coordinator, sir. And I really thank all of you very much for this sort of a workshop. And we will also be arranging another workshop on SPSS. That will be probably in the next month or so. We will be circulating you the messages and all these things. So please keep an eye on that also. And good luck and good learning to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now we have the presentation program. Today we have two eminent resource person. The first resource person is Dr. Kamlesh Kumar Sahu, and second resource person is Professor Dr. Tapan R. Mohanty. So the interaction session will open after presentation of these two resource person. Those who want to put any query, please put on the chat box or can put direct query to the resource person after the presentation of two resource person. So Dr. K. Shobarani Devi, Assistant Professor, Chemistry Department, Standard College, National Awardee, will introduce today's first resource person, respected Dr. Kamlesh Kumar Sahu. Madam Shobarani, you can start your introductory words.
Thank you, madam. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone who's present in this platform. Dr. Ramesh Kumar Sahu is an esteemed associate professor of psychiatric social work in the Department of Psychiatry, Government Medical College and Hospital, Chandigarh. He holds a PhD in the psychiatric social work from Central Institute of Psychiatry, Ranchi, and PhD from the University of Calcutta. With over 15 years of experience in the postgraduate teaching, Dr. Sahu has excelled in the instructing and supervising postgraduate trainees, as well as in the planning, exclusion, and evaluation and coordination of counseling, mental health, and psychosocial rehabilitation service and research. Dr. Sahu has an impressive portfolio of over 100 publications and has delivered more than 100 presentations at various international and national seminar, workshop, and conference. His dedication to the research evident in his involvement with several reputed journals and editorial board member. He served as the chief editor and editor of Indian Journal of Psychiatric Social Work and the managing editor and the Journal of Disability Studies. In recognition of his contribution, Dr. Sahu has received numerous awards and had been recently nominated as a non-official member of Central Mental Health Authority under the Mental Health Care at MRCA 2017 by Minister of Health and Family Welfare. For this 5 days international workshop, research methodology workshop organized by the RC25 Indian Sociological Society, New Delhi, and the Department of providing this of the woman corner of the in collaboration of Standard College. I appreciate all the organizing committee for giving this privilege. Thank you once again. Thank you.
So, sir, I request Dr. Kamlesh Kumar Sahu to start your presentation, sir. It's time for you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for a very long and comprehensive introduction. But to be very frank, I am very much social scientist. Though I am working in medical college and my entire career is related to health and mental health, but my post-graduation and PhD both are in the sociology. So nothing to worry. Because most of the technical university in medical colleges and engineering also have social science and humanities department. So as in our medical college also. And we are also running a social science course that is MPhil in psychiatric social work, which falls under the social science. So that is add on to my introduction. And at the outset, I would like to be express my heartfelt gratitude to the Indian Sociological Society, particularly Dr. Sanjay Tiwari, and each one from the organizing committee and coordinators. They are working very hard to bring it, and I am very excited to see the large number of participants for this. So without further delay, I would like to start my presentation. I will try my best, but I am not sure because how much I will do justice to the given topics. But it is kind of a very pleasant feeling to see this much audience in a online event, because generally in online event participants are very less, which is very discouraging. So very often we are not well prepared. So maybe that attitude will prevail here also, because I am really very excited, right? And second, my request from the coordinator and whosoever is hosting this, please in between prompt me, because many time it is get disconnect or some problem and speaker will be not aware because I will seeing the PPT.
Sure, sir. Sure,
Right?
sir. That's a technical team is there to take care of this. We will take care
Yeah,
of it completely,
if it
sir.
is get disconnect, please do message me, call me or something. My phone is nearby. So should I share my PPT with the sharing option?
You can, sir.
Yeah. So I'm sharing, just give a few seconds. Yeah, I hope it is visible here.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's working fine. So if there is any issue, as I again I'm requesting, please remind me, I will get it correct. Otherwise, I am ready with the perfect internet and all. Okay. So once again, very warm welcome to my presentation. I don't claim I'm a big trainer, but I have done a lot of research, including my PhD was with the mixed method research. So just this is, I am making a attempt to make other people understand, because I personally feel this particular method is very useful and we must try in some time in our research career. So for the sake of presentation, the name of the presentation is Integrating the Insight, Exploring the Power of Mixed Method Research Design. Yeah, and some I have fixed some key learning point, which is very common. Maybe you feel that what is the mixed method in very brief, then why we should use that. We should be very clear about the basics of mixed method research that everyone should know, and I hope many of us are already knowing this. And working with mixed method approach, we should have some carefulness or some basic expertise that we'll discuss about. Mixed method design and data little bit I will discuss, and the red highlights possibly I won't be able to discuss, but I have, for the sake of making it comprehensive, I have put it here, that mixed method research questions. The question itself should be very specific if we are choosing the mixed method. So, but that will take the extra time. Sampling as well, the same thing. The mixed method data analysis also required a different kind of insight and techniques. And time, at the time of writing the result and data, that is also need a specific kind of expertise and attention from us. So these are the key points I listed out for the learning today's. One more thing I will request to coordinator, how much time we have? I have 30 minutes or 40 minutes?
40.
Yes, sir.
40.
40 minutes?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, well enough. 40 minutes is enough for this. Okay. So let's start with the defining mixed method research. A mix, it is a very common definition, but for the decorum, we have to start like this. So I'm reading it out because most of the people are aware about this is a very old and very common definition we refer when we are talking about the mixed method. A mixed method study involves the collection or analysis or both the qualitative and quantitative data in a single study, not in a separate study, and then we are mixing, which the data are collected concurrently or sequentially. That we'll discuss later, are given a priority and involve the integration of data at one or more stages in the process of research, right? And this definition has two very broad points which will come again and again in my presentation. Like it's combined the quantitative and qualitative data in a single research. And second is the purpose to provide the more comprehensive understanding of research problem, which either one method will not give. It will be slightly more than either one method used if in any research, right? So now question is the why we are using and why we should use the mixed method research. I think many of the faculties and people will be well aware of it, but still I'm putting this questions because I could see the many of the people are from the research scholars, etc. and beginners. So as I said in the first slide itself, it was there, provide a more comprehensive picture of the research problem, right? And researching the parts of other method cannot reach out. So mixed method will reach out something extra than the one single method of research will discover after the research, right? This was given by some particular scholar. So if we go back to the history of development of this method, there is a long history. So it is not a very old method as a research methodology. It is around 50 years or 5 decades old only in this century. So researchers realized that there are a strength in both method or both method approaches of research that could meaningfully, yeah, that could meaningfully enhance the research in which one method alone is used, right? So after a long journey or long way of confining with the one method and then another method, then this mixed method emerged most recently. So there are so many scholars work and they have given so many big word. I have simplified as per my understanding. So I will not read out this. We'll go to the next slide. So just mixing a data or the methodology doesn't make our research very necessarily very good. Like many people think let's have some quantitative approach also or some qualitative data also and it will enhance the research, which is not the case. So what should be there actually need a strong rationale for mixed method. Like either one qualitative and quantitative, we have a rationale. So when we are trying to mix the method also, we should have very strong rationale and rigorous method of data collection in a mixed method also. And when the time of analysis of both quantitative and qualitative data, also we should have all the standard and set norms for both method, and we must have expertise and experience on that area. Then only we'll get a enhance and our research will be good. Like some of the when I was reviewing the literature, some of the key points I have picked up from the various articles which have kept for the mixed method research. So that I would like to read out. Researchers to use a diversity of method, combining inductive and deductive thinking and balancing limitation of exclusively quantitative and qualitative research through a complementary approach that maximizes the strength of each data type and facilitates a more comprehensive understanding of health issue. I will keep referring the health and mental health issue as an example, maybe because of my background, but take it as any research question or any issue. It's not limited to health and mental health issue. And the potential resolutions to produce a robust description and interpretation of data, make quantitative result more understandable, or understand broader applicability of a small sample of qualitative findings. These are the key points which is true for the mixed method approach and which allow us. And very quickly we should see what is the quantitative and what is the qualitative method of answering, right? So if we see the purpose wise, if you want to answer why question in qualitative data, it will answer why. And if in a quantitative data, you will find more how much, means which is countable. The how much or how many question if you have, then the quantitative data is better. Like similarly, if data type, if you see which type of data you are going to get in the qualitative method, that is observation or symbol or word or phrases or expression, these kinds of data we are getting. But in the quantitative data, we get generally numerical data, which is in a digit or a statistical result we get. The approaches by first one, qualitative data is generally observe and interpret, whereas the quantitative data is measured and tested. So there are just already set norms for testing data, and there are several statistical analytical methods are there. But in the case of qualitative data, grouping and common data, which we call the thematic grouping, is there, and we need to do the thematic analysis. So this is a glance of quantitative and qualitative data from a various articles and all. So these things I am skipping because it will later also come. One major thing before I go into the mixed method, again, I would like to emphasize here is whatever approach we claim or whatever design we make in mixed method, we must be very careful about the integration of the qualitative and quantitative research activity and brought together to achieve the greater insight. If
I'm sorry, Kamlesh sir, to stop you, but you're not audible. You're on mute right now.
Sir, you are muted, sir. Kindly unmute yourself. You are muted. Kamlesh sir, again you are muted.
now I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please remind me whenever there is any issue. I told that's why, because many times we face these issues. So repeating may not be very good. So I will most of the things will come again and again. So I hope I should proceed further, right? Hello. Hello.
If you can repeat from the last point of integration, I think we lost you there.
Integration, I was talking that if we decide to do mixed method research in a collection level or analysis level, if we are not integrating the data properly in the interpretation and the result making time, it will not make much sense, and it will not give any a good picture than any used by any either one methods, right? So integration is very important. That was my point. Now again, this will the some mixed method advantages. Again, I'm listing it, which was there in initial 2 slides. So it is a comprehensive analysis, as I said, in another words, in the initial stage. Triangulation of data is also very beneficial in mixed method, which is not there in any either one research method. enhancing validity of finding on whatever assertion we make based on our result finding, research finding, that is more clear here. And flexibility when we are collecting the data, which was not there in the quantitative method, where we use a fixed kind of questionnaire or different kind of research tools. So when we should use the mixed method, that should also very clear, because unnecessary, why otherwise we have to mix two method and get involved in more time consuming process. So the very simple question answer of this question is, when the complex research question is there, when the one method of collection of data or analysis may not answer perfectly, so the complex research question is perfectly all right with mixed method. Need for a different perspective, when we need a different perspective of answer or analysis of any issues or any research question, then also it is okay. And validation of result through different method, like through one method we have done thing and we want to validate it from the different method, then also it is a right decision to take the mixed method. And we know that the quantitative, qualitative, both design, this is there, something I am skipping also. So 3 points we should be keep in mind when we are choosing the mixed method research. It will be slightly costlier than the either one method, because we are doing the double work, kind of double or more than one, at least we can say. Time also, it will be little more time consuming, है and training and expertise also required in a both area, like qualitative and quantitative. So in all three area, it will need a extra input to get a more comprehensive output. And as I already said in a previous slide, so we have to see what is our priority and what is the time. If we have a priority for the different perspective and other things, then we have to do, and we should be having enough time also, right? These slides I am skipping because later one it will explain more better. So now coming to the mixed method research design. So if you see the literature, these kind of research design is very frequently talked about or discussed, or we can say more frequently used in so far in the mixed method. So sequential exploratory design. So exploratory design we already do, but here two designs is sequence, one after another. It is used, that is sequential method. So it's called exploratory design. Similarly, explanatory design is there when we want to explain some phenomenon, some issue, some problems. Then we have a sequential explanatory design. And same way is there. Explanatory we know, but we have to add sequence because of the two kind of approach or method of data collection. And concurrent triangulation design is there, where parallelly two methods we are collecting the data and triangulating the result. That is the concurrent triangulation design is there. So this is also very, very famous and very known diagrams in a books on textbooks we'll get. For they have named this particular design the way we are doing it. So first picture, if you see, it is called convergent parallel design. So why parallel? Because both the quantitative data collection and analysis and qualitative data collection and analysis go hands in hand parallelly. And after both things compared and interpretation is done. So that is why it is called convergent parallel design, right? And second was, like I talked in the last slide, explanatory sequential design. Why it is sequence? Because here it is quantitative and qualitative is done one after another. So two possibilities there. Sometimes we do qualitative first, sometimes we do qualitative first, and after that it is there. And sometimes one method is enhancing or supplementing the finding of other method of data in the data collection time or maybe in the interpretation time. So that is the call, this one. And this can be done in both way, explanatory also and exploratory also. When the phenomenon and issue is not explored, little less known to us, then we take the exploratory one. And when we have to just explain and the phenomenon is well known, then it is a other method is better. So later I will try to illustrate this phenomenon by taking some example from the practical field, but let's first discuss this one. Qualitative method used to develop a quantitative measure. Sometimes we do like there, if we have no questions or we have not very much known data in a particular issue or particular research, wow, questions, then this kind of approach will be very good. When we do some qualitative approach research, then later on, based on those findings, we may design a quantitative comprehensive research tool, and we can use both and get a desired results. Right. So here we can take a quick example. I don't know how much time is there because I already lost in between. Yeah. So one example I would like to cite from the health science only, or health from health is also related to human beings. So social scientists also always be ready to take health question because health is related to human health. So it's not always medical and science, natural science domain, right? So this is a main thing is there here. This question was there to make understand the first method. We can conceptualize and develop a valid questionnaire measure of unplanned pregnancy, which is a very common phenomenon these days, based on a lay view and could be applied to any woman in a Britain. It was, I have taken from a research which was done in British, and sampling, purposive sampling was done, and 47 pregnant women were interviewed. Now you see that after interview, the analysis was done. I'm skipping and little making it little hurry up. So you will find that some people uh, uh, kept the pregnancy and take the chance for deliver a baby, though it was unplanned, but some people try to abort it and they were not carrying it. So this was the finding, and that's it. There was no other dimension why they have done, how they have done, what was the problem, what was the good feeling, what was the bad feeling, etc. was not there because the survey was limited with the question whether it outcome was a baby or not. It was aborted, right? But if you do the qualitative method and if you interview the people in a various perspective and if you have a guided questions, there are several themes emerge, and those themes are clubbed during the analysis, and 6 themes were finally came very prominently, right? Which is based on the context, sentence, and behavior, right? So based on that, reliability, validity test, etc. is done, and a final questionnaire was developed, which include the final 6 item, one question from each dimension which we got in a qualitative method. So now this tool is better than the dichotomous just yes no, or better pleasant unpleasant kind of dichotomous questionnaire survey, right, which was used in the previous method. So this is a illustration, and we'll take some other one also. So here what is happened, the qualitative method has a complemented, added on something which was not there in the only quantitative method. Like that, the rationale is there with the all the approaches. Here the second one, if you this one we already discussed, the red one I am escaping because it is again same kind of examples. which will take our time. Now B, you see here what is happened. The quantitative method used to support a primarily qualitative method. This we have discussed. Then this one, qualitative and quantitative method used equally and in a parallel manner. Like first quantitative method was done, then result was analyzed and result was result we got, and the quantitative method on the other hand was also there, and data came and we analyze and we get the result. So this is done in a equally and parallelly, right? So it's starting to become a more common in medical and epidemiological research. This kind of there. Earlier, the medical and scientific data were in medical field, and epidemiology was too much obsessed with the quantity. Only the numbers were there. So, but later phase people understand that only quantity is not giving that much meaningful or useful result, at least for the semi-professional and paraprofessionals and layman people. So to make them understand or make the findings more understandable to these kind of population, the mixed method has emerged a better one, right? So again, example I explained. The third one is there, the qualitative and qualitative methods are combined and to initiate a new perspective. Like here, there is no supplementation or no parallel research was there, but to know if we combine what we will get, this kind of research can be done, and qualitative and quantitative methods, data collection and result analysis can be done. It will uncover something different in a new perspective, which will may give a new framework for a further research, or may suggest some certain kind of new application of the finding. Because these days, this is also a very challenging thing. Just doing research is not enough. We must think what is the application part for the human being or for the society of that particular research. So this kind of third one, this one will bring a new perspective in that regard. Again, examples I'm escaping. So here the example of this diagram is putting an example for the triangulation. Quantitative and quantitative method as triangulated enhance internal validities. Like in the example we have seen, the quantitative data have emerged with some result which was not that much meaningful. So that was supplemented with the qualitative data. And if we triangulate in a particular manner, the result from the different method used for the correlation or convergence, it will be more comprehensive, more understandable, more beneficial, more applicable. So sequence also, as already I have discussed, two possibilities there. In the first, the quantitative first is there. Here also we can see the which one we are giving a more priority in some time. Like quantitative method is more larger chunk in a data, or the qualitative part of the data is more. So capital is the priority, more emphasis was given. Otherwise, it is the same thing is there. So sometimes we give more priority or more attention in qualitative and supplemented by the quantitative, sometimes vice versa. So in a sequence, it can be done and we can get a result. Then third, three or one more. Sometimes we do one particular data more than one time, like qualitative data, then quantitative data, then again qualitative data. Why? Because after these two, qualitative and quantitative, we realize and we feel that result is not comprehensive, something is lacking. Or sometimes this is also happening particularly in medical field, like after we call it as a cohort study. We follow a same sample or same issue for a particular period of time, and we realize again we have to assess. So again, we assess in a qualitative or qualitative method. Anyone can be reassessed more than one time, and then we are analyzing and getting a result. So that will give something little more than the one is there. Concurrent, we already discussed here, triangulation. There are so many other possibilities are there in quantitative method, and these days there are various kind of new methodologies, new applications are there. If we see the published, there are exclusive journal by Sage also in a mixed method research. So if we see the published research in a particular area of interest, if we have, we'll better understand the mixed method results rather than just studying in a textbook or research methodology books. That is what my understanding. Maybe some other people may feel better to read first and do, but generally I see the research and then we get back to the textbook, and then I feel I understand better, and sometime I would like to reapplicate the same kind of research with a different variable or different population, and that is how my experience with the mixed method is there. So am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir.
Yeah, so I'm just concluding in couple of minutes. So question, as you said, you will take after the second presentation, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
After these two presentations.
yeah, so I am concluding then. So in a summary, we can say strong rationale for integrating method must be there, and research question drive the integration, right? Ensure rigorous collection and analysis, both type of data can be time consuming and costly, but the result is quite encouraging, we can feel. So require expertise in both methodology, and more we do, more we get expertise like any other things, and we feel more comfortable doing the mixed method. That is another my personal experience. Has potential to strengthen the knowledge claims and promotes consumer involvement. Like many of these consumer goods and companies, they are using this mixed method research in a very large manner. So now they are not using the text, they simply use the pictures or the voice kind of methodology, practical methodology to use, and there are now software also to analyze the our voice. Like earlier we have to transcript, then translate into the English. Mostly we used to translate in English because English, all the tools and softwares are following English language. Then we were getting the desired language, but luckily with the help of AI now, these kind of tools are there which can summarize and give a desired kind of result in a very quick manner. So again, we have to be very careful because the technology has some limitation as well. And as a whole, I can say, or we can say that it mixed method can facilitate the knowledge translation, and it will be more beneficial for academic and the other areas. Thank you for joining me. And once again, thanks a lot to organizer for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Sir highlighted about the mixed method research, mixed method approaches, and importance of mixed method research. And sir also highlighted about the basic mixed method research design and sequential design and concurrent research design. Thank you, sir, for giving us such a wonderful knowledge and excellent coverage. Thank you, sir. Sir, we have the interaction section after the presentation of second resource person. Sir, so please be with us, sir. Next, Dr. Anne Sunderland Devi, Assistant Professor, Home Science Department, Standard College, Introductory today's second resource person, Professor Dr. Tapan R. Mohanty. So Madam Sanjilan, you can start your introductory words. So I request Madam Sanjilan, you can start your introductory words.
Madam Sandilan, please unmute your mic. Madam Sandilan, please unmute your mic.
Video on the wall. Madam Sanjilan, please unmute your mic. Madam Sanjilan.
Santina ma'am, kindly unmute yourself. You are muted. Kindly unmute yourself. You are muted.
Yeah, it's okay. It is audible, sir. Sir, it is audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Lasmi. A very good evening to our respected dignitaries, resource persons, and all the participants. It is my immense pleasure to introduce our resource persons. Our second resource person is respected Professor Dr. Tapan R. Mohanty. He is Professor of Sociology of Law at National Law Institute, University of Bhopal. His doctoral dissertations of traditional and crafts among the rural artisans of Madhya Pradesh. During the last few years, he has worked extensively in the areas of globalization, tribal development, and culture of consumption, besides sociology of law. He has done 4 major research projects, and he also conducted various training programs for different categories of professionals, which includes lawyers, judges, legal officers, and executives of private and public sectors companies. He has published more than 70 research articles in international and national research journals. He is a recipient of Erasmus Mundus Fellowship from the European Union and worked on lifelong education, where he focused on the use of ICT. He is the member of State Supervisory Board of Implementation of PCPNDT Act in Madhya Pradesh. He also a former member of Executive Committee of National Law Institute, University, Bhopal. And he is a life member of Indian Sociological Society, Indian Society of Criminology, Indian Anthropological Association. He also a research committee of Sociology of Law of International Sociological Association. Once again, I welcome Professor Dr. Tapan R. Mohanty. Sir, please deliver your presentation. Sir Mohanty.
Thank you, Madam Sandilan. So I request Professor Dr. Tapan R. Mohanty, please present your paper, sir.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're audible.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that introductions. I'm extremely happy to discuss a very important thing and a very important aspect in the journey of a educational professional. And this title, the topic that was given to me or assigned to me, is about structuring a research paper. Ostensibly, when you look at this type of programs, when I teach students at PhD level, interact with younger colleagues, often find there is an interest among them to share the fruits of their labor produced in terms of their master's or their MPhil or their PhD dissertation, or their field work or some research experience. And there is also a UGC mandate regarding publication. As the old adage says, publish or perish. So therefore, there is both the push and the pull factor as far as research publication is concerned, except a few who are too lazy to do anything or write anything. But ordinarily, large number of researchers and scholars are interested to publish. But the problem is that when you want to publish or put your work, as my professor T.K. Oman used to say, that you have to look whether you are to make people the prisoners of your ideas or make them the prisoners of your skills. In the sense, when a new ideas or perspectives come up, it's a duty of a researcher, a need of the research community, that it is shared. And when you share such ideas, when you share such thought across a broad spectrum of research scholars and students, it gives also us an identity. It gives also a recognition and also a part of our duty to serve the community through our research work. Then the question comes, how do we write and how do we publish? Because writing is one, many of us write, including our diaries or short stories or books. But publication is another part, because where you get legitimacy of your writing. And for that reason, you need to look at how do you approach your publication. And the publications are different in terms of your PhD publication, thesis, which published as a book, short commentaries that published in different journals. Third, a research article that you publish as a book, chapter, or fourth, an article that you publish in a journal. And each of them have different requirements, different standards, different patterns, though there is a similarity in terms of writing, though they are not same, but there is a similarity in the sense. So what is the similarity and the sameness into that? For example, if you're writing for a book, a chapter in the book, they would it has to come in tune with the general theme of the book. For example, one of my friend, very dear friend and former secretary of Indian Sociological Association, Professor Manish, he writes, he wanted once made a seminar on national education, new education policy, and then want that people to contribute to that. And he was good enough, resourceful enough, that the book was to be published by a reputed company like Routledge. Then that is not the idea. The idea is that all the articles he sought and he got were focusing on the issue of new education policy or national education policy 2020 from different perspectives. Your perspective may change. Somebody write an education policy like me, it's on a particular form of education. The impact of education policy in critical thinking, impact of education policy in interdisciplinary research, etc., etc. There are many dimensions, but your work must be in tandem with the requirement of that book. Similarly, if you want to write sometimes, like if you look at Economic and Political Weekly, there's sometimes special review articles on labor. So if you have worked on a labor aspect, dimension of labor, then you can only submit article and then theme. Right? So these are again certain things. And the easiest thing people do mostly is publishing their research work, their PhD, as it is, they publish it. But it is not actually publishing as it is. And that is why the demand for such work are the less. Because unless until your research work, however difficult, however compassionately you have done it, it identifies an issue which is very relevant and significant for society. Right? Then, no, I would have wished to share the PPT, but now I'm discussing on then the limit. So I will share later. Right. So that is there, that dimension is a part where you have to focus your research work, not merely as a publication, I would say of a quality publication. So these are the things you look at. And when you write for an article, one of my former professors used to say, friend and a professor used to say, that once you want to make an article, publishing an article is a very, very difficult task than say about publishing you're doing a PhD. Because in PhD, it is usually you or your teacher, sir. But if you look at this publication, research journals, there you have to go through a rigorous process. In science, general science, I often say that it's easy in publishing somebody like your work, but it's published in journal like Nature, it almost takes a lifetime achievement for that. So therefore, publishing in a research paper in a work is a very, very difficult task. Though of late, due to the demands of situation, due to the these UGC rules, and then a lot of there is mushrooming of new journals, which actually meant there is a significant amount of journals has come about, and people are used to publish as they want to do so. So that is certain things which has actually diluted, if I say, the thing. But we are looking at as students, as research scholars, we are looking at not merely I am sharing my simultaneously. Let's see if it can be shared. So in that sense, it's a slide slow light. So I'm sharing it. Please check it and then let me know. Have you been able to see it? Right? Have you been able to see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what is ordinarily this idea of doing research work. Now I will share with you that how we go about the task. Because one, as I say, if you, even in theoretical sociology or other else, you will see that what is important are two things. And one is structure, one is the content. Whether you do any research, like we study about social structure, you look at how society is structured. What are these various constituent parts and how these parts are working, their interrelationship and integration. That is a structural part. Every word has a structure. Second, what the content, what you put through. And if structure is wrong, then content is not. And of course, if there is only structure, no content, so nobody reads. So therefore, we have to, balance out harmoniously the structure and the content as far as a research paper is concerned. Okay, Anna, I was just focusing about such paper that you want to publish, not any either those who are pursuing their doctoral degree or those who have finished or an early career of the things. For them, it is very, very important. In fact, I remember once that when I sent an article to publish in an international journal of criminology, so the erudite editor used to tell me that fine, initially as young research scholars, you need to have a mentor program. So there must be somebody, a mentor, who will tell you, will guide you how to do right, how to go about it. So then you get the necessary refinements. The second experience that I would like to share with you, and what is the problem? Way back in 2005, I think I published an article in Economic and Political Weekly. And then when I published it, shared with my students and colleagues, etc. So naturally what happened, many of my students who are used to submit our research projects, in a sense that projects in a particular paper, or 20 page, 30 page project, 20. So this I wanted to send. And many of them send actually to EPW for publication. So that time the editor was R.R. Reddy. So Reddy spoke to me, upon look at this, you tell your students that we publish quality research. We don't publish term papers or research papers like this, your project papers. So I have to share with my students, look, it is good that you are showing enthusiasm, you're writing and you want to be known, it's all good. But there must be a mechanism through which, there must be a process through which you will go through it. And that is what is basic idea about doing that research work. But then who will guide, who will mentor you certain things? And many times you will find, if you are a researcher in some universities, especially in science, that you find many of their publications or research works are published for PhD or around PhD, along with their teachers. Right? There are 3-4 authors who are doing different components of research and then publish work. So that's one, because the senior researcher is qualified, is experienced. So he or she shares her input with them and to make it a publishable article other than a trust. So this is what it. So what happened? The students, they write, their ideas are good, their understandings are good. Sometimes since they're coming from English medium schools, public schools, that English is good, but it is not about good English or a good idea. But you also must abide by a good or substantive understanding of theory, of methodology and analysis, that, and then social relevance. So these are certain things you must keep it in mind. And then we'll go to the slides where I will try to share with you how we should go about it. So first task of anything is to find out a title. Because every research article has a title, right? Like our name has a title, so we have a title. So this title should say, because I look at a title, that you would know which issue you are talking about, what you are talking about. It is economics, it is politics, it is sociology, it is history, and what part of history, like for modern history, colonial history, or what part of sociology, industrial sociology, economic sociology, political sociology. And within that, what issues, modern issues, governance, ethics, civil society, that's what the title will say about. So therefore we said the titles must be clear, concise, and there must be a clarity. So that is why when you write an article, your article's clarity of expression and thought also find its reflection in the title that you are putting into. So that was sometimes a lot of effort goes on in writing an adequate, a fine, nice title. Some of friends I have seen writing proposals, for example, ICSSR, UGC, National Commission for Women, National Human Rights Commission, they write a very lengthy title. It's like 50 word, 20 word, 100 word, like. So one has to think, what does this means? The lengthy or other title means it's not a clarification because you are not.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Sir, your slide is not movable, and we are not able to see anything in the slide.
No, fine. This slide is fine. Only title.
Only title you got click now?
Yes, only title. I am explaining.
Okay, fine.
Because sometimes I believe power corrupts and PowerPoint corrupts absolutely. So most of the times it is imperative that we share the thought than everything written down it, right? So that is why when I'm saying a title, I'm explaining it. That's why I say. So when you look at this title, they write a very lengthy title, 40 words. I think this ideally, a title must be 15 to 20 words, right? If you want, because you are not expressing things to title. Your title, whatever issue you want or perspective you want to provide, that you can write in introduction, that you can write in other background elsewhere. But you need not have to write that in your title. So it's a very simple title here to that. I share I will share certain other experiences also as we move into. So that is one aspect that I need to say. Then once you have written a title, the next thing, talk about one abstract, right? I don't want to too many titles or look into abstract. Now, a lot of articles, unlike a book or your dissertation, the article requires to be abstract, a very standard article, journal, if they want to do, they want you to write an abstract. This abstract is the summary of your entire study. Even if when you say you see conferences, seminars, you write it. If it's not international one, national one, you write some people write 5-page abstract. They ask for an abstract and then ask for a full paper letter, subject to the selection of abstract. It is material important that a lot of abstracts are get selected for the right X, Y, and Z and Tom, Harry, and Dick. It's a different thing. But if you again we are looking at the quality one. So that is why the problem in India today, we are producing enough research, but we are not doing enough quality research. That's why our university rankings are not internationally. If you look at the data today, you will find Indians have submitted largest number of patent applications, but final patent granting is elsewhere. So we go through what is like a rat race. Right. As Eric Erickson says, we are going to a rat race. So in the same way, that is why I want to precise, because if your abstract is, if your title is precise, and you are able to concise those things what you want to do in a paragraph, that shows, of course, your capability to focus. A research is always a focused activity. So the more focused, the more accurate, the more pinpointed you are, then you are more likely to do a substantive work. Because if you write 4 pages here, 5 pages here, 7 pages here, I might have produced 20 pages. But their 20 pages are hodgepodge of many things. Not really what I'm looking for. But even if I write 5 pages, certain things on focusing on particular dimension, particular aspect, then that's important. And it is a very difficult task, in fact, believe my friends, that to reduce your work, into 100 or 200 words. Because like I say, for more if you have done it your own, then like a mother, it's babies. So you cannot decide what to write, what to do. But in the end, you have to do it. So therefore, you have to find out what is most important, what are the flaps and daily do. So a summary of entire study must be there. Most works ask you 100, this very specific one, but largely in the abstract 250 words, maybe maximum 300. Somebody would ask you to write your abstract. But yes, I just got to forget about it. When you write a title page, it's not only the title of the thesis. The title page also requires to write the name. right? Sometimes for anonymous reviewing of paper, you are asked to write your name and affiliation in a separate page. No, I would like again just a second, because it is also important for you to know that when you write a title, it's not title page, because I'm not only writing a title. If I'm writing a title, because I had discussed about writing a title of article, but then there is a title page, the first page of your. So when you write an article, it also requires to write your name and affiliation. Okay, and when you write your name and affiliation, some journals, because they were a blind review or double blind review, or they send it for referees, so they don't want to find your name to be there, because your identity need to be concealed so that a fair review can be possible. Now, for example, if an article comes to me from Professor T. Kuman or from some very senior professor Arun Kumar, I'm not going to review with the name that I think I am incapable of reviewing the work. So therefore, and then even if there are certain things, I would avoid that. So therefore, the idea is that many journals ask you to write at a separate page. Once your title of the article, then separate page you write your affiliations, your name and affiliation, etc., etc. Name, affiliation. Sometimes you will write your email ID, etc. Otherwise, in ordinary cases, what you do, your title, we look at center page, then write your name, affiliation, or you put that in your footnote. Just give an asterisk mark and then write the author is this, and identify that. Some people also write in the title page towards the end of the footnote if they have done this, what is called either sponsored. For example, I have received a grant. This article is publication part of a report which was given financial grant by CSSR or UGC or any other organization, international or national organization. So they want to things, or you also want to to one liner. So you want to acknowledge the contributions of others, including the referees. So people also thank anonymous referees who have helped them in developing that paper or streamlining that paper, or what do you call enhancing the quality of the paper. So you might give your acknowledgements. So that's also in the title page people to write. Okay, so coming back to abstract, then the abstract also requires now 4 to 5, maximum of 5 keywords. So what you have written in a paragraph, you might take a keywords. If you are working on, say, some topic on in development, or you like climate change, the role of women in climate change. So your climate change will be one of a keyword. Development will be keyword. Women will be keyword, or gender will be keyword. So you have to write 5 keywords. You have to put in the abstract, right? Then the next we look at the introduction. This is where your what you have left out in the title, unable to explain, so you can introduce that. So your introduction section, if your abstract is only words, introduction again. If an article, so I remember, it is not in thesis also people like introduction, because that time it's introduction or introductory chapter. You can write 40 pages on that. But if you write for a journal, again, they have limited space. Some journals said the articles must be 5,000 words, 2,500 words, 3,000 words. So in that length, so your introduction must not be more than 300 words. Like if you total 3,000 words article you're writing, 300, 400. So maximum a page and half a page, or 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs at max. It will be your introduction. What do? You are introducing your topic to your audience. Ordinarily, we believe that audience are aware, because again, remember whom you are addressing, because you are addressing what we otherwise Thomas Kuhn calls a domain community assumption, right? So you are putting a scientific domain. You are putting in the domain where you believe or you know that the researchers are able to understand that. They know the terms. For instance, if I'm using modernization, so I understand that when I'm using the word modernization in my article, I understand my audience, my readers know what is modernization or what is globalization. Right? Even sociological terms, if I'm using concepts like little tradition or great tradition. Then I share with a audience who share a similar thought, expression, language, style, language. So therefore, you are introducing them and believing that some of them forget not. You can read what in law we call about refreshing the memory. So you might use in topic that you are using this particular topic in this particular context. So you are contextualizing it. And then looking at this relevance, because again, when you say introducing this chapter, like you say gender, why it is important for you to introduce this particular dimension. If we're talking about the awareness of rural women towards their uh, reproductive hygiene, or you look at reproductive behavior, or to look about their sanitary hygiene. So when you look at that, then you are introducing why you are looking at this particular issue. So you are regarding the topic you are writing it, its relevance, writing it, and challenges what they could be. And that is why our introduction is that why it is significant for us to know about it, to work on it, is what motivates you to work, in a sense, the particular aspect. So like consumption, you are writing on consumption. And now, of course, today we are living in a very consumer society. So you look at why this particular consumption, as a consumers, we should be concerned about it. Our shared about is as I look at WhatsApp or social media or email or this television, a lot of information comes flooding to us, and we become consumers of this information, right? Without even realizing whether these informations are required, not required, they are context specific, they are individual specific or community specific, we don't know. But such of information comes about, and then like you see a lot of people nowadays just don't go to doctors, they just Google search and find out this medicine, that medicine, and then take it. And it's a very, very, because the first word in medical science talk about that never take a medicine without us consulting a physician, expert physician. So what do we do it? So therefore, if you see our consumerism of drugs without doing it, then it's a very relevant topic. It's a very important topic, and it's a very challenges to it, because we are writing about it for this. I do not have a degree in medicine, but I do have an understanding of people's behavior. I'm not writing from the health-seeking behavior of people. When you're writing on health-seeking behavior of people, I'm a doctor. I'm not community medicine, but as an individual who has worked in the field of health, understand human behavior towards that, we are able to put that into perspective. So therefore, our introduction should adequately and amply reflect the tone and tenor of a research, the area you want to work on, and the challenges, and how do you want to overplay some of them, underplay of them, substantiate them. So this should be part of your research introduction. Then again, a lot of people work a review of literature. Though it is not necessarily people write a detailed subheading or heading in a review of literature, unlike you do your research, but it is always pertinent when you say about background. Because after introduction, some people like a background and overview. So it means that you are aware of the recent happenings in the field, or you are aware of the context of the field. So therefore, you find certain work. Which works are done in the part? Even health checking behavior. What type of work have been done? Whether they have focused the area you want to work upon, or because many times, as Sir Isaac Newton Ross used to say, that if you look at the ocean of knowledge, we are standing on the shoulder of giants. The people, because then you can see the horizon further. So it is in the same sense, it is imperative to look at whatever previous studies have conducted, because they give both a meaning and an they give us as a meaning to us what we are working about, and an impetus to carry forward the legacy. So therefore, we look what are the substantive issues of there, right? Whether the methodology have been wrong, for example, someone actually worked on the area you wanted to work, but you think that methodology was not good enough. No, recently, when I was looking at this new criminal laws, and looking at the comment of the former Minister of Law, Kapil Sibal, and then former Finance Minister Chidambaram. So they're talking, but look, they have done this, but they have giving the task to professors, select professors who was giving a part-time job, and they have done a part-time work. That criticism to by a large extent stands then, because you such a mammoth or gigantic task must have been a focused work. But that's different political dimensions altogether. But we look at, because there is certain things there, we want to bring a change. So if we want to bring a change, we need to look into that is what. So we look at this, what are the prior studies that's conducted in there? What are the method? Because why I say the methodology. So for Chidambaram, Kapil Sibal, the methodology was, it has gone to the law commission, it's the full summit member, they would have done the task. Fine. Probably that's one. Because in fact, if you know, remember the Indian Penal Code, which was passed in 1860, was the architect of what is Macaulay, who criticized for the education policy. And Macaulay was first member of Law Commission of Government of India. And then, so it is government. So in a sense, it is imperative to look at the studies that we are working in India. And if you're working level, like if you look at AP elections, and people say, look, how caste dynamics have once changed. 2014 election, 2019 election, the caste dynamics was changed because it was not more of a caste, but more of a community, religious community. But suddenly in 2024 elections, you find it is not about more about community, but it's more about the caste groups, the backward caste, the low caste, the lowest of the low caste, and so many formations are commutations. And in that sense, if I'm studying about caste system in India, and I don't study Anil Bhatt, I have not studied M.N. Srinivas, if I have not studied J.H. Hutton or Risley, for that reason, and then of course my understanding, or Agni Kothari, then my understanding of caste will be very, very limited. So but I am not going to write all their work in there from 1970 or 1870 or 1860. So it is imperative that you find out a literature which broadly deals with the work you are doing in nutshell, the substantive issues you want to look at it, and that will help you to find out the research gap. What is the gap they had left, and you want to bridge. That will identify your contribution. Right. This is what is in your, when you look at review of literature part or contextual or background part of it. Then you go to the methods. This is again another 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs you would write. What is a method? Or method or methods you would use. And some people say it's because we consist in that, because it is a consistency of the method. Now, social science research probably distinguish itself from about history, some other distinguish itself from other forms of research, ethics and philosophy, because we follow a method. So now that method must form the part of your research article. What is the method you're using? Then people can question it, that your methods are right, wrong, or otherwise. An most important part of that your writing method, because it is a norm that this method can be replicated by others. If you have followed a method, if you are good, it must be a replicability. Otherwise, you said the one-time method, it's only I am doing it, nobody else can do it. Then it's not science. Because that is what repetition, the stability is characteristic of science. So that is why when you look at method, so you look at what type of method was used. And therefore, if you look at an article in Economic and Political Weekly, you find some part of it, a 1 paragraph, 2 paragraph written about methods and methodology, where they have described the research design. When you say first thing, what is research design? Like if a secondary analysis of it, so they would say this data taken from say NSS survey around number 56 or 52, or look at NFHS data from 3 or 4, or All India school education data from NCERT for this year to this year, or education statistics from that to that. So you want to explain that. And then that is the design. And you said, I have conducted this type of work or the theoretical work. Then you have to explain the theoretical work which was worked upon. Their work, their key contributions, their criticisms. So that is why you look at, it can still have a historical method. No problem. But you have to explain that method to say that what is the key points, how you have worked upon it, how you have gone through it. And then, that is why the research design is how you have designed your research. Whether you want to go for what type of sampling you have used, right? What are people sampling? What is the population frame? what is the research universe, and who are the participants. For instance, if I'm studying about young college-going girls, so then they are my participants who are participating in that. They are my respondents, right? If I'm talking about caste and politics in rural India, I talk about various sarpanch at the Gram Panchayat level. So they are my the villages are my research universe. The sarpanch are my participants, are respondents. So look at, and then what type of material you have used. You have used sensors, you have used gadgetiers, all these gadgets, or you have used others seminal work. That is you have to explain what type of material you use, the authenticity of material, the quality of material, the quality of research design identifies the strength, or describes the strength of the article. If one follows a very substantive method, even if you use, for example, statistical method analysis. Remember Durkheim. When Durkheim wrote a work, because first and priority for Durkheim was that sociology is not a study that will come, so everybody says, I know something about it. It has to be very specific. And that specificity means that it must follow a method. And therefore, Durkheim wrote his work on rules of sociological method. Right, 1897. To talk about the distinguish itself, to talk about that method is followed. So he used the statistical method. In fact, on those times, you talk about coefficient of correlation. So that is why we use materials methods and study procedure generally. Your research method is the general study procedure. Even if you follow the Marxist method, you say we are following a dialectical method. Perfectly all right. We'll explain that is how the people have written. I think Anil Kumar Sinha was wrote article, The Caste and Class in India, that it is very difficult to distinguish between these because in India, upper caste are also like upper class. I mean, it's analysis, the Marxist analysis, structural analysis. Here Desai's work, but largely Marxist analysis. When Desai wrote his work on the class in India, they distinguish that the rural class and the urban class. Right? You follow this method. And even if you want to look at his class classification, you will find he is writing that there is a capitalist class in rural urban India. And in difference to or in distinction to the Marx, he said, no, this capitalist class will be divided through financial capital, financial class capitalist, industrial capitalist. Right? So he is not using bourgeoisie or proletariat. But that's an use of application of method. When Professor Andhra studied the caste class of power in Tanjore village, he talked about the Weberian idea of concept of power. Right. So whatever you do, and that was a field work. So his method was a field work. He talked about detail analysis. Many things are, somebody does this work in observation method, like in anthropology. We look at mole and observation. Many of the work of Ratley Brown, Bronislaw Malinowski, or for example, Margaret Mead, were pure observation. That's method. So but that method you have to identify. You have to say how you had gone about it. What precautions you have taken to not to have biases, removing your biases, ideological or otherwise. So the more you clarify with the methods, so your methods actually refines your thought and thought process, and therefore probably the more substantive methods you are using, the more clarity the method would have, and probably study will be much better, because that is like the quality of cloth you have, the space is supposed to be good. So therefore it's like quality of method you talk about, and that is why you would look at the writing of method. And once you are look at methods is over, then you can come back to the main issue, what you are dealing with. For example, as I said, consumers' behavior, whether I'm looking at the study patterns, whether I look at this problem of a gender, whatever you are doing about, you can look at the data, you can look at the theoretical, substantive, empirical work we're talking about. You can bring all those analysis into here, all those things into here. The main body you can ship out content of. Like if I've studied about that particular village, you can examine what you have seen in the village, see the power structure, whether there is elite formation in the rural India or not, whether you look the power structure as you look at different villages, the communities, the rise of the middle class, the rise of the backward class. You talk about whatever issues you deal with. So that you can till in not, because you have used method and I used topic to discuss about. And when you are discussing on this topic, because this is a central part of actually, then you come back to your discussion level. Once you have look at these are my universe and I have studied about that, I have focused on those aspects. I try to look at this. Like for example, you can do a simple study of Anganwadi workers. So look at these Anganwadi workers, how they are critical input, or asadais are critical input in terms of providing health issues or rural health support to rural women in India. So you will look at those issues, or nutritional support to the children in India. So whatever you look at it, that should be come under this your main central arguments to be here. And then once you are through it, you come back to the result or discussion part. That's what you want to discuss with them. Some part you can reduce that, you can bring it here also. You said, what are the findings? Once you studied that, then people say, discuss about findings. You have used method. Now through method, you studied a particular aspect, concept, and then come back to what your findings are. For instance, if I have used a method of empirical study to look into the agricultural income in India, and a particular block in Chhattisgarh, Selwandegunda block I studied about, or I studied about a Ahmednagar block, somewhat a district or some block like this. Then I want to Arambikapur, some district likewise. I look at the rural farm income, whether it has improved or. Then I say, look, this comment of reports regarding farm secondary data. I have looked at these national agricultural reports, and then I look at the profile of the farmers, because I cannot take all the farmers in districts. So I have selected one, and maybe I talk about farm income and any people, those who have more than 5 acres of land, and those 5 acres of land must be irrigated land, right? So once I look at that, then I see what was their income in previous last 5 years, and what are the income 10 years before. So I have taken a study about. And then not only that, naturally a person who having income in 10 years, like his annual income are 5,000. Today it was 8,000. But that doesn't mean actually that there is an increase, because the cost, the 5,000 rupees at that point of time is more than 8,000 today. So you have to take that into perspective as well. So therefore, when you look at what are your findings, there is an increase in income level, whether rural poverty has gone down. So that is in. And then if you say it is this income, the farm income has gone up, then it's a very significant finding, because we are primarily in an agrarian society. And if you remember it during COVID times, if you look at economic data, you will find when all the activities were stopped, agricultural productivity were higher. And it was agricultural productivity which actually helped to retain the GDP that we had. Right. So therefore, it is important that our focus on farm sector. I'm not an agrarian economist per se, but this is a very common understanding of it. So you look at significance of it, and then it's the relevance. For example, writing a report project proposal to ICSSR. So they will ask, what is the social relevance of it? Do the study of relevance of it. Now, for somebody, if I writing, the limited relevance. One of my students was writing on an issue called human rights. And her sort of focus was on female circumcision among Muslim women in India. Many of you probably asked me, does it happen in India? Actually, it does happen in India. Even there's a minuscule minority. Then my question is, what is the relevance of it? Right. So people ask, well, okay, if there are 10% or only 0.0% of population does that, how is it relevant for us? Now, it is you have to prove that. That's why it is, even if a minuscule minority practices and it violates their human rights, then that's important for us. Right. So this is what I would look at relevance. And then the implications. So the implications mean that if study is so, like I say, if I'm working on a study, on a work, particularly this the impact of midday meal schemes, or what is called nutritional support schemes. Now, across tribal areas, for example, and I take a particular tribal area belt in Odisha or Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, you talk about in a tribal, Andhra Pradesh, Tamilnadu, Kerala. It gives me one area of this. I take about one study. And then I see that whether the rural areas where schools intake in say class 1 to 5 was barely 70. Now, whether with the implementation of midday meal scheme or nutritional support scheme, then the data suggests, the school register suggests, which is again which is my sample frame, suggests that now from 70, it has an increase to 130 or even 100. So even 30 increase, 30 people, students who have enrolled this year, whether it is a natural increase because of population or whether it is coming because of the students are coming because of the nutritional support. Now, the second question comes about whether does that mean the nutritional support scheme have enhanced their interest in learning? One, and secondly, whether it has interest in the quality of learning, right? So when you look at this difference, you look at the implications, and you say that yes, one aspect, the government of India has actually solved two problems. One, to cater to the growing needs of the malnourished children, and then bringing them to the school. So one, we are looking at health, and one looking at education. Now, this is theoretically fantastic, but does it actually reduce to the practical level? Now, if you will find that the relationship between that, then that says its implications for the study. And then you can recommend, okay, if this has been done, if the students, the timings are like this, they have been taught sufficiently before the class, and then after post lunch, they go home, whatever it is. So you might have your recommendation how to increase it. Increase the amount of foods, increase the quality of food, fair distribution of it, or increasing time over this. Whatever recommendation you suggest, you find this could actually bring a significance to that. That would be your contribution to that. And then once then you can also conclude. So then you can say, with these recommendations, I would like to conclude that. Some people say that if you have begun an hypothesis earlier in the statement, but it's not necessarily. You can also write a hypothesis methodology and say that I have begun with hypothesis that if these things are done, then it could have a substantive effect on this. And since through my data and its analysis, it has been proved. That's fine. So this could be your conclusion, and that's what the end of your article should be. That is, our research paper should be. But this is only one. The other most important dimension is that the referencing. Now, what all people, for example, for me, we find that writing all this fine. Finding references is also difficult because, and I had a very tremendous problems when we were doing our referencing, especially in doctoral time, doing our PhD degree. Because those time you write something, wrote down some words, some sentences, and then forgotten. And you thought about that is in the library I read, then you forgot which book you have read. Or you have kept that book, remember, but then when you go to referencing, you find that book is taken by somebody else. There are problems. So that is why we immediately write things and references. But here also you have to look at the references. But in a bibliography is very huge. But here only references which have directly, not even indirectly is not even required, which directly requires you to, or which directly affected your study. So you would write those things, right? These are the models. That is depending upon then you follow what type of model you will do it. Now, normally in social sciences, we use two different models. One, if you look at Sociological bulletin, our journal, I will find they said in text journal, where you write certain things text, and then in text you said this is from Sharma, KL Sharma. So you write Sharma 1991, page 37, and within bracket, that is fine. Or sometimes with that instead of that colon, they just give a space. That is fine. But when you end of it, you do it. This is a model. We usually follow APA model, which is called American Psychological Association's APA style set. So you follow that. That can be downloaded. I can see. But most important part is that whatever referencing model you form, that must be always uniform. You cannot have one here, one there, and another from another side. You have 20 references and 3 from APA style, 3 from Oxford style handbook, and like this. It cannot happen. Whatever you do, ideally, my submission is that part. But also remember, many journals have their guidelines, how you will write your article, style set, including Sociological. What is your style set would be, how you would write, how a reference should be, How a reference should be if you have taken from a chapter from a book, if it is a book, if it is a journal, if it is a newspaper, if it is a website. All these are to be very, very specifically mentioned and specifically followed. Then another aspect, now many people are forgetting that. But if you remember, there are two books I can tell you. One book is by Professor Jogendra Singh, my reward teacher, who wrote a book. Now, if you look at modernization of Indian tradition, you find he has written many endnotes. Right. So some articles also require endnotes. And some articles, if you're writing especially law and other social sciences, find they write footnotes. So whether you write a footnote or write an endnote, again, that depends upon the journal which you're writing. Therefore, it is, if you sufficiently write a good article, you read, first thing that you go to that journal, read their article and see how they're writing style and standard, and then prepare your article's referencing model and entire article in the line of that requirement of that journal. So that the chances of, because otherwise if you don't write in that format and style, it will be ipso facto rejected. So if you have a chance of going through the first hurdle, then your formatting and citation should be good enough. Right? The structure of articles should be good enough. Then people will come back to content. Then they will send out a reviewer. If your style is citation format and formatting is wrong, then they just simply throw it up. No, it is not up to the mark. But if they are good, then second status go, they will send. If your title is good, if your methodology is good, then the reviewer also think, okay, there may be some mistakes here and there, which can be recalibrated, which can be redesignated, which can be worked upon. So with suggestions, they survive. But those things are very, very significant for writing your research and this work. Then comes about this next part is that you have to look some journals now writing. Usually when we write our dissertation, our fact data tables everywhere in between. But if you write a journal, if you write a book chapter, they have a specific designers. They said unless until it's like a journal like chapter secretary or EPW, where your tables can be within the text inside the article. But some journals are now including that you just give a reference to that table 1, table 2, table 3, and put those tables towards the end. After your all citation references are over, so you keep them. It can be called a data sheet. You can go out tables, you can give your figures, you can look at charts, you can diagrams, graphs, all these things, whatever you have done, they can be put separately towards the end of the article. That is this design of the article. But again, for that reason, you have to look at the space that article that that provides. Some journals write that what's limited like this, it excludes data, tables, figures, charts, graphs. Some said no, it includes that. So it depends the journal to journal and varies from journal to journal, depends upon their requirement and depends what type of study you are doing. For example, if you are not doing those type of work, you are looking at observational study, you don't need a hypothesis, you don't need a data, no, but you need only probability systematic analysis and argument and interpretation. Okay, so these are again, but these are what I am saying, a general understanding. If you are going through a positivistic method, what Karl Popper says, a hypothetical or deductive method, if you are going through that, following that mechanism, and empirical research at large, the times and the equivalent tradition continues, then probably these are the set of arguments that you can follow. And then appendix. The last part of your research work is appendix, where you write additional information which require. For instance, I am working among the